Hello, hello. It's Tea and Talk with LaTonia on Tuesday. And I am so happy to be here on today. For those who don't know, first of all, let me remind you that you are amazing. Um, you have to tell yourself this. I tell myself this every day, even when it doesn't feel like I'm being amazing or that amazing things are happening to me. I have to remind myself to speak positive, to be affirming. And I want you to do the same because when you are in this journey to work hard, work smart, work more efficient, to establish a business, to grow it, to have it be sustainable, you are going to hit so many walls and obstacles. And I talked about a couple of weeks ago how it's so important for you to have the right people around you, have the right circles of influence around you so that when you hit these difficult times, you will absolutely be able to come out on top. And when I tell you, last week I was unexpectedly hit with an illness, something I've dealt with for years, but really have had under control. And then all of a sudden, things happen, right? And so I was out of commission for a few days, was under the weather, not feeling well, resting, taking care of myself so that I could get back to work and back to business and do what I need to do. And it was during this time that I realized more than ever how important it is for us to have the right circle, have the right people around us. And if it wasn't for me having the circle that I have, like there's things that I had to get done still. I had deadlines that I still had to meet, right? And just because I was out of commission didn't mean that those deadlines didn't need to get met, right? Certain things you can move around and you could play around with, but in your schedule, there's always going to be those things that are fixed and you have to just get it done. And so I was working on meeting some deadlines last week. And if it wasn't for having such a good circle around me that I could pull in, that I could delegate things to, I could pick up and literally I don't have to talk to them for 2 or 3 days, but they were getting things done and then to be able to still see the work come to pass because of having the right people around me was just a great experience. But it was also reaffirming for me to just continue to say to you all that you got to think about who is your personal board of directors, right? Yes, for a business corporation, they have board of directors. Yes, if you have a nonprofit, you have to have a board of directors. But having a business board of directors and having a personal board of directors is not the same thing, right? I like to call it my starting five on my team. Like, for those who play basketball, you know what I'm talking about, right? You have your point guard, you have your center, you have all these different power forward in these different positions. And you need to have that kind of support system around you that, yeah, you might be point guard today, but if you need to get back into that center position for a minute or go into that power forward position for a second, that you have people around you that can really continue to help you and strengthen you throughout whatever that journey is that you're taking. And we all have different journeys that we take. And so I didn't mean to talk about that, but it's one of those things that just came to my mind and to my heart. And I think that there's somebody who's listening in who's going to benefit from hearing that you are not alone and you want to be intentional about making sure that you are not alone, right? I had to be intentional about making sure that I had the right people around me. And I learned through good, bad, situations that some people I thought were for me were not, that some people I thought were my support system were not. And that's okay. Everybody is not going to be who you think they should be and how you think they should be in your life. And when you mature enough to realize that, it makes life so much easier for you. And it allows you not to walk around with this level of expectations for people that they can't measure up to and that they can't meet. The only one that I put my highest expectations in and look for a return on is God. And Anybody else I know is fallible because men can make mistakes. They can let us down. Even when they don't want to, things happen, right? So that has been one thing that has stuck with me. And again, like I said, I don't know why I had to say that today. I actually got on to talk about something else, but I needed to say that. So now that I've said that, and if anybody is out there that, wants to have a conversation later about that, we can absolutely dig into that a little bit more. Um, but I want to kind of go back to a question that I've been asked 3 times. So this past week, actually past few weeks, because last week I was under weather, so I didn't talk to too many people last week. But in the last few weeks, I've been asked a similar question from people over and over again, right? And it's been this conversation around being a sole proprietor versus getting an LLC kind of thing. And they didn't know that's what they were asking me, but now I said to them, I'll be talking to the audience about this on Tea and Talk with LaTonia on Tuesday. So I wanted to make sure that I clarify that. So a lot of times what happens, especially I'm talking from Massachusetts standpoint, and different states, they may have different laws. So do not just take what I'm saying and like, oh, it's to the T in your local municipality, because it may be slightly different in your local municipality. So do some research and ask some questions around this before you run with this. But in our state, in Massachusetts, you have the ability to form as a sole proprietor, as anyone does around the country. Anybody can formulate as a sole proprietor, which means that you're not an LLC, but you can still file your business income and expenses on your Schedule C on your taxes. And so a lot of people get excited about that because we have these conversations around like, how do you get a tax write-off for your car, or a tax write-off for a business trip, or a tax write-off for, different expenses like your cell phones or whatever the case may be. And people are pretty in tune with that. If they're a barber or stylist, or they have some type of business where, they're self-employed, they have a tendency to be kind of knowledgeable about that they can or that you can, because I'm talking to you all, that you can be able to get deductions and stuff like that on your taxes. But what most people don't know is that there's a difference in the level of protection, and also where the debt falls depending on which type of entity you set up, right? So if you set up an LLC business, and some people are probably saying like, why are you talking about this? They always think about mission rich organizations as only being nonprofits. Well, the reason why I'm bringing this up is that a lot of times people do want to do good around the world and do good for people, and they don't want to start a nonprofit organization. We'll talk about this and then maybe in the next tea talk with LaTonia. But basically what happens is that they have this zeal to want to clean, or they have a zeal to want to be a counselor, or they have a zeal to, want to create a product that's good for your skin because they've had to deal with skin issues and they found that this particular product can help people in similar situations. So it doesn't mean that you have to start a nonprofit just because you want to help people. Being mission rich doesn't mean you have to create a nonprofit. I have to say that, and I'm going to probably say that a lot when I have these conversations, because a nonprofit structure is very, very different than having your LLC or your sole proprietorship. I'm not going to get into that right now because we only have about 10 more minutes, and I want to make sure I hit this point home about the sole proprietorship. So when you start a business and you want to start a business for the sake of um, running it in a in and not having like a hobby only. So you want to actually claim your income, claim your expenses, be able to write off things on your taxes, then you can do that as a sole proprietor, which is just like I said, you literally just have income and expenses. You have a business. It could be a barbering type of thing or what have you, contractor, kind of work, handyman activities. And then you are claiming that on your taxes at the end of the year by filing a Schedule C, right? With your regular tax return. If you are a LLC, you are very much doing the same thing. You're going to file your taxes on a Schedule C. That is if you are a single member LLC. Now, there is another type of LLC that you can be as a single member where you can elect to be taxed as an S corporation. We're not going to get into that today, but that's another option. And I do talk about all of these things in my book that's coming out soon, Mission Rich and Profit Powered, a guide on how to transform your passion work into a fully funded business. So if you want to get into the details of that kind of stuff sooner than I get to talking about it, absolutely pre-order your book. You can get the links on my social media pages and on my website. You can also just go to missionrichandprofitpowered.com and pre-order today. The books will be coming out in the next couple of weeks, and I anticipate you will get it before Christmas. And so back to the setup of an individual who's a solopreneur. So you have your business, you can decide to be a sole proprietor, you could decide to set it up as a single member LLC. The difference, though, in what I was responding to this individual who has the cleaning business is that if you are a sole proprietor, you do also have to register with your local municipality. So you are expected, and again, this may not be the case in your municipality if you're outside of Massachusetts, but for Massachusetts, it is expected that you go down to your town or your city government and that you register as a business in your municipality. What that does is it basically means that they recognize you as a business. You would still do your EIN and all of that because you have to have one in order to open up a bank account. And you would be able to take your business certificate and your EIN to a bank and get you a bank account. The reason why I'm telling you to make sure you have a bank account is because it is very difficult for you to file your taxes and say how much income you've made as a solopreneur, sole proprietor, single member LLC. We're going to use all of these somewhat interchangeable today. It's very difficult for you to claim your income if you can't be clear on where the income came from. And so I always say to people, do not mix your money. Do not commingle. That's what it's called, commingling. Do not commingle your money. Create a bank account specifically for your business. Make sure all of your money goes into that bank account before you take it out and spend it on anything. You can do an owner's draw. You can take money from your account whenever you need it to pay your bills or whatever the case may be, but do not just take the money that somebody paid you and just spend it without letting it go through your bank account, because that is your proof to the IRS that you have income. Cash, check, whatever. Don't just cash a check outside of your bank account. Deposit it into your bank account and cash it, okay? If you are in a situation where you have to continually, like because of need for cash, do it outside of your bank account, then we need to be having a whole different conversation around your money management. We're not having that conversation today either, but it's something for us to have in mind that if you are running a business, you run a business. Do not run a convenient hobby and want to call it a business, okay? So you can do that with the with your sole proprietorship, get the business certificate, do all that. Fine. If you opt to do an LLC and you know you're going to do an LLC within a year, my recommendation is, why are you spending the money and the time and the effort to go down to your municipality and set up your business locally when if you do the LLC through your state, then that is covering your municipality, right? So like I made the mistake of going in and setting up my sole proprietor, going in and getting my business certificate and all of that stuff. And then 3 or 4 months later, I decided, wow, I think I really need to have an LLC. Well, why? Because I need the protections of an LLC. I wanted to be able to purchase my vehicle through my LLC. I wanted to have debt under my LLC and separate from me and my personal income and my personal accounts. I wanted to have another construct that it was able to get business credit and all of that. If you are a sole proprietor operating as a sole proprietor without an LLC, you cannot get business credit. It's impossible. When you have a separate entity, that entity can start to get business credit. Case in point, I got a business credit card as a sole proprietor. So I can get a business credit card, but it went under my name and under my credit score and under my credit, right? When I go to run my credit or have it pulled for whatever reason, I see those accounts under me. I set up my LLC and I got an Amex. So I got an Amex card on my sole proprietor side. And then literally right after I got my LLC, I got an Amex card through my LLC. The card that's on my LLC, I don't see it when I pull my credit report. I don't see it affecting my credit score or anything like that. And so the business is starting to, and it has been now for almost over a year, well over a year now, has been accumulating business credit. And so now I was able to get pre-approved for a vehicle through Bank of America. They approved me for up to 5 vehicles under my LLC that again is not attached to my personal name. So when I tell you, it's very important that if you know you're going to get an LLC, to just go ahead and plan to get the LLC. If you plan to get business credit, if it's going to take you about a year to get it, LLCs are expensive. It's $500 in Massachusetts, $520 when you include doing it online and processing it pretty quickly. A lot of people will say we could take shortcuts. We can get LLCs through Nevada or some of these other states that are cheaper. But what you'll find is when it's time for you to get business credit, you're still going to have to formulate an LLC in your local state unless you're doing business in other states. So if you're in Nevada and you get your LLC and you're going to do business in Nevada, then go ahead. But if you're going to just set up your LLC in Nevada because it's cheaper and you're trying to call yourself saving money, you're going to have to do it's like a foreign, domestic and foreign state form. I may be saying the name of the form incorrectly at the moment, but it's a form that you have to complete that is expensive for you to be able to then establish yourself in the state that you want to get your business loans and your contracts and stuff through. So think about the future, not about penny pinching now, because later on, I had a client that had to spend $1,000 to be able to formulate their LLC in the local state because they initially did it through another state, trying to save money. And if somebody told them that was the way to do it, who didn't know what they were talking about, and then when it was time for them to try to get local government loans and ARPA, a lot of municipalities were eligible for ARPA across the country, you had to have your LLC established in the state that you were working in. So that was something that they had to do in order to be able to get access to state funding. And so it's a few $100s, folks. It is not that much. It's not that much when you think about it in the grand scheme of things. And at the end of the day, it's going to save you money long term if you are not doing business in other states. Okay. And you plan on getting funding in your local state and you're not your residential state. And for whatever reason, you don't have yourself as an LLC there registered, you're going to find out that it's not easy to get funding. It's almost impossible. So that is Tea and Talk today. You know, like I think I gave y'all a lot to think about, but I definitely encourage you to, you know, seek me out, reach out, direct message me, you know, if you have questions or anything like that. And like I said, hey, I am completely giving a commercial at this second. Like, get your pre-order in for your book, your Mission Rich and Profit Powered book. Go to missionrichandprofitpowered.com or look for the link on my social media pages because you will absolutely get a window into how I was able to navigate the way that I've been able to navigate in the nonprofit and the for-profit sectors and get businesses established, and also to help my clients be able to navigate this world of getting from zero to sustainability in their bank accounts so that they're able to continue to flourish in their businesses. And so with that being said, I am going to say goodbye. Y'all have a good rest of your day. Make sure you drink your tea because, you know, tea is good for you. And sip on some of the things that I said earlier. And if, like I said, if you have any questions, reach out. God bless you.